It's the worst of the CBC for July 30th, 2019. The show where I watch the CBC so you don't have to. And it's an extra special day because I had a late day at the office, got home during Power and Politics, so I watched that, and then I had to watch a whole hour of other CBC. So it's more than an hour of CBC news for me, which means I'm a bit loopy to the point where is Jagmeet Singh starting to make sense? Nah, silly commie. Anyways, what was on the docket for today? We only had 5 stories in an entire hour, thanks to the manhunt, so that took up most of the time. Then we have a pedophile in Nova Scotia. They covered that. The PMO interfering supposedly in diplomats or former diplomats, private citizens' opinions in China. We'll get into that story tomorrow. The economy and a UAE princess running away. So what wins? Worst of the day. Now, I'm going to give it to the pedophile in Nova Scotia. Now, I'm going to say right out, the CBC took a very good anti-pedophile stance on this story. And I'm happy. Pedophilia bad, exploiting children sexually bad, children dancing around, sexualizing, very bad. I'm very happy they finally decided to take this drag kid documentary. But they covered a story about a man in Nova Scotia tricking and abusing, coercing a 12-year-old girl to send naked pictures, which is horrible and evil. And it's good they reported on it, but I don't know about you. Can you think of another story of a man on the internet exploiting and trying to sexualize young girls online, solicit relation? Can you think of anything? Jessica Yaniv. I can't think of it. It is. Right? So we have another person doing this on the other side of the country in British Columbia. However, that person's now a national figure. That person has turned the entire judicial system into complete mockery. Now, again, pedophile bad. Saying pedophile bad. Good. However, you think the more important pedophile would get some attention. You think the person abusing the judicial system so he could go into girls' locker rooms and look at the tampon usage there would also be bad. So I'm happy they said that, but I'm giving that the award. It's also going to win greatest omission of the day is Jessica Yaniv. But it's unfair to give you just one story to do both. So second worst of the day, although this one was technically even more biased, was the way they covered the economy. So they brought on someone to talk about how strong the Canadian economy is doing. And they talked about, it's strong. Everyone knows it's strong. The dollar is strong. It's 76 cents. We're usually around 80 cents. The only reason it looks strong is because it's at like 74 cents in the winter because it was doing so poorly then. So because it's not as bad as it was before, but anyways. And they're talking about the Canadian economy, how strong it is, and they're talking about what could potentially trip up. What are the storms brewing underneath the waters? Well, can anyone guess what the CBC sees as the biggest threat to the Canadian economy? I'll give you a guess. If you guess it's Donald Trump, yes, the CBC says it's Donald Trump that could ruin. Yes, it's Donald. If anything goes bad, whose fault is it? Donald Trump. That's right. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't Donald Trump the president of the United States of America? Yes, he is. Is Canada located within the United States of America? No, it's not. All right, this is mind-blowing to you, but we're talking about definitive strength. And then they even have the audacity to say, let's show Trump. He claims the American economy is growing. The American economy has been growing over 3% growth for a while now. I believe it's 3.3% GDP growth. Obama never hit 3, okay? Trump's hit 4. Do you know what the Canadian economy is growing at, GDP growth? 0.1. We are technically in a recession. We are 0.1 away from an official recession, and businesses are acting like it, right? We see companies leaving because they're done with the welfare cycle. It's beyond frustrating. So you can clearly see it. The CBC has been covering this up for a while, and all the Canadian news agencies have. And at one point, you could say that's good because they're not instilling panic, because panic can hurt the markets. But it was not the same way. When there was a blip in 2015 during the previous election, Stephen Harper, and that was because the Saudis released a bunch of oil reserves, and that was mostly to hit the Americans to stop natural gas production. It just had a blip in the economy. Canadian dollars tied to oil prices, and the Saudis just pushed it quickly, and it dropped. So they covered that like it was the apocalypse immediately, even though it was clearly just a blip. Now, this is actually a serious problem, but it's definitively strong, whereas Trump's supposedly growing economy, growing at over 3% consistently, isn't really growing, whereas Canadian economy growing at technically recession rates, 0.1%, like 0.1%, that's doing officially strong. So that, I think, was probably the most biased story of the day, the most disconnected from reality, assuredly. So that wins worst story of the day. Now, You're wondering, what does this episode get on the Rosemary Barton scale? Well, there's 5 stories. 2 of them were done poorly. So mathematically, I'm going to give this episode 4 out of 10 Rosemary Bartons. And again, 10 is the worst, most bias you can get, and 1 Rosemary Barton is somewhat watchable. So thank you so much for watching. If you're interested, we'll have Uninterrupted up for you tomorrow night, where we'll cover all the stories you need to know, and have a great day. Don't watch the CBC. I did it for you.